On today's show, the Houston Rockets earn another Summer League blowout dub against the Washington Wizards behind a combined 47 points and, count them, 10 steals from Reed Sheppard and Cam Whitmore, as well as a monstrous 22-15 game from Orlando Robinson off the bench. We're going to break it all down coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Mondays. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcast or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's the best way that you can help our show out, is to go comment anything on the YouTube video, share your thoughts from the game, Reed Sheppard, Cam Whitmore, Orlando Robinson, or just swing by and say, Go Rockets. Now, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more this summer, as FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym, or listening right here in Las Vegas. We appreciate you for being an everydayer. And a couple shout outs to some of our everydayers that I got the chance to meet up with, hang out with for a little bit at the Rockets-Wizards game. Shout out to my guy Daniel, who I got to chat with a little bit before the game actually tipped off, hanging out in the media section with me a little bit. And then also my guys Jonathan and Michael, and really the whole family. I apologize, didn't get everybody's names, but shout out to Jonathan and Michael as well. Love seeing Rockets fans out and about. Love meeting with you guys, chatting about the team, and then also just, it really means a lot to me, the support for the show. Genuinely, thank you guys. And so it was absolutely fantastic to meet everybody. So again, if you ever see me out and about, just, call my name out, say what's up. It really does mean the world to me. But let's get to the good stuff. The Rockets' absolute beatdown of the Washington Wizards and the number 2 overall pick, Alex Sarr, and the number 14 overall pick, Bub Carrington, and the number 24 overall pick, Keyshawn George. The Wizards with a lot of young blood on their team, but 109-91 blowout for the Rockets in a game where Reed Sheppard and Cam Whitmore combined for 47 points and 10 steals. Kind of an absurd set of numbers to look at. And what was most impressive to me about this game, specifically with Reed and Cam, and we're going to focus mostly on Reed here in segment 1, get to Cam segment 2, and then we'll talk about the insane 22-15 from Orlando Robinson off the bench in segment 3, as well as final thoughts and miscellaneous notes and everything. But neither of them had the 3-ball going in this game. Cam Whitmore 0 of 3 from downtown, Reed Sheppard only 1 of 5 from downtown. And guess what? It didn't matter, because first off, those two have developed such an insane chemistry early on. Reed was kind of joking about it post-game, but somebody asked him about, the chemistry that he's, sharing with Cam and how those two guys have connected, early on. And Reed was like, first off, it's having a guy like Cam where you can just throw the ball up anywhere around the rim and he just goes up and gets it is incredible. Hands down, the best highlight from the game was when Reed broke down the defense and lobbed it up to Cam, who cut in baseline, and Cam went up one-handed and just absolutely flushed the hell out of the ball. That was such an insane highlight. I was sitting directly behind the courtside baseline seats, and I was right behind Amin Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Jae'Sean Tate, and Tari Eason, and their collective first off, the play was insane, and then their collective reactions after the play made it just chef's kiss, all that much better. It has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been electric watching those two guys play together on the Summer League court. They are both way too good for Summer League. Reportedly, it looks like Cam Whitmore is likely to be shut down, so don't expect any more Cam Whitmore out of Summer League. That was what we expected, right? He plays a couple games, and then he's done. My concern is, though, that Reed Sheppard might be shut down sooner rather than later. I was really hoping he'd play all the Summer League games, but flat out, he's just too good for Summer League. That's kind of where we're at right now. His stats in this game against the Wizards, 22 points, 9 of 15 shooting, only 1 of 5 from downtown. But guess what? That means he was 8 of 10 from inside the three-point line. He was also 3 of 4 at the charity stripe. He had 6 rebounds, 7 assists, the 5 steals that we talked about, and had 1 block in addition to that. Just looking at the way that he's able to impact the game in such a variety of ways, right? The defensive stuff is so important. He really understands where to be, how to rotate, and how to just be a really solid defender at such a young age already. Like the fact that, man-to-man coverage, right? His point of attack defense was incredible. There were points where he was just dogging the Wizards guards, getting after it, and whether he gets a fingertip on the ball or if he, kind of darts into a passing lane and gets a steal that way. Like he generated so many extra opportunities for the Rockets offensively with his defense. And then offensively, he didn't have the 3-ball going, only 1 of 5, but he was so effective elsewhere on the floor from inside the arc. And a big part of that is those mid-range jumpers for Reed feel automatic. And I already likened him to Chris Paul in our previous episode, but it actually stands to, share the comparison one more time, because reportedly Reed Sheppard actually spent some time with Chris Paul this past offseason, working out with him, learning from him, mentoring him. And I mean, it makes sense, right? You see flashes of CP3 in Reed's game, the way that he kind of navigates the pick and roll, the way that he's patient, his decision making, and his ability to just make the right reads offensively and getting to those little spots, right? All he needs is like a little sliver of space, and he's able to elevate and just, again, it feels like a layup for Reed Sheppard knocking down those mid-range jumpers, not to mention his just transition dunks, his opportunities off of those turnovers, off those steals that the Rockets were forcing on the other end. It has been really incredible to watch him play at this level. He really is too good for Summer League already out of the gate, and I have to always preface this because it is Summer League, right? You don't want to like crazy overreact to 2 games, but it really does feel like the Rockets have found themselves their future franchise like point guard. I know that this, there might be some, I don't know, hard feelings or anything. Like, I don't know what to call it about like, okay, well, Amin Thompson was drafted to be a point guard, so like, what does that mean? Those two can absolutely play off of each other and can coexist on the basketball floor. And in fact, again, because Reed Sheppard is so lethal being played off ball, Amin Thompson, he perfectly complements Amin Thompson's skill set. So I don't know what it necessarily means for the future of the other 4 positions on the floor and how you mix and match certain guys to play alongside Reed Sheppard, but he has all the skills that you want in a future long-time starting point guard in today's modern NBA. The shooting, the defense, the playmaking, it's all there. And the fact that we've seen it all on display through 2 Summer League games, he has by far been the best rookie throughout NBA Summer League so far. He has outperformed Zachary Reed-Sheppard. He's outperformed Alex Sarr. He's outperformed Stephon Castle. It's been so absurd to watch him rack up the numbers that he's got and to see the impact that he has on the game. Again, it's not just offensively, it's on both sides of the floor, and envisioning what that's going to look like at the next level when he's playing with the Rockets next season, when he and Cam Whitmore are both coming off the bench, in addition to Amin Thompson, seeing the way that those guys are going to have the Rockets bench unit just running, playing up-tempo style, having both those guys fill in on the wings and have Reed Sheppard creating for them, or have Amin Thompson with the ball in his hands and be able to wheel and deal to Reed and Cam. It's going to be so exciting. I really do. I'm in like basketball heaven. Like, this is just basketball bliss watching these guys play. And it's going to be unfortunate that Cam Whitmore looks like he's going to be shut down for the remainder of Summer League. But what it does mean is hopefully a more aggressive Reed Sheppard, or Reed Sheppard who's maybe hunting his shot a little bit more without Cam Whitmore to kind of defer to or share the basketball with, or looking to set him up consistently, whether it be in transition or in the half court. So that's one thing that I'm definitely looking forward to in the Rockets' next game against the Detroit Pistons is if Cam Whitmore does not play, what does that do to Reed Sheppard, right? How much more aggressive does he become offensively? There's one more point about Reed Sheppard's offense that I want to bring up here in just a moment, as well as we got to talk about Cam Whitmore's performance, his game, his playmaking growth, and what the coaching staff has been telling him about his playmaking. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, I love sports. I love them so much, I never really want them to stop, right? I'm sure you get that. But as you got, playoffs winding down and there's fewer and fewer games and then the sports aren't really sportsing the way you want them to, look, FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want. All you have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime you're in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Right now, you can head on over to FanDuel.com and take a look at the outright betting favorites to win the title this next NBA season. The Celtics are currently the favorites to repeat at plus 300. Then behind them, you have the OKC Thunder at plus 750. And right on their tails, the Denver Nuggets at plus 850 to win another title in the era of Nikola Jokic. So for all those odds and so much more, head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, we're going to get to Cam Whitmore's performance here in just a second, but there's one more point that I wanted to bring up about Reed Sheppard and his play so far. Again, selfishly, I would love to see a game where Reed Sheppard just gets up like 20, 25, 30 shot attempts here in Summer League because I think he's very capable of like an efficient 30, 35 points. I would love to see him have just one just insane offensive performance where the threes are falling and he hits like 5 or 6 3-pointers, something absurd like that. Will it happen? I don't know, because he doesn't seem like the selfish type to go out there and only try to hunt his own shot. Seems like he's very team-oriented, wants to do the right thing, wants to make sure his teammates are involved. So even if Cam Whitmore is done for Summer League and he doesn't have that weapon anymore on the wings, he's still going to be looking to create for his teammates. He's still going to consistently look to make the right play, the right read, and that's why he's the exact type of player that a coach would love and cherish and want on his team because he makes the right decisions. And funnily enough, we saw, post-game, before Reed Sheppard conducted his post-game media availability, Ime Udoka came over and dapped him up, gave him a little hug, and you could see Ime just grinning ear to ear because he's just so excited. Ime knows ball, right? Ime understands what he has in these players, and he is loving every second, every minute of what he's seeing out of Reed Sheppard on display in Summer League, and he understands just how important this final piece of the puzzle is going to be for the Houston Rockets, and he understands exactly what he's got in his, again, more than likely point guard of the future in Reed Sheppard. But the last thing that I wanted to highlight, and this was actually a point brought up by the podfather himself, Ben Dubose, that I wanted to echo here on the show, but that's the fact that when you see the way that Reed pushes the pace in transition off of, a missed shot or a turnover or whatever, defenders are very scared of Reed because they don't know what he's going to do. And that's the beauty when you have a guy that is so capable of doing so many different things offensively, whether it's driving the ball in and then pulling up for a midi, driving all the way to the rim, driving in and collapsing the defense and kicking it out, pulling up for a three. There's all this indecision, and the defense has no idea what he's going to do. He is not a one-dimensional player. And again, anybody that was trying to tell you in the pre-draft process or whatever, anybody that labeled Reed Sheppard as just a shooter, that is not who he is as a basketball player whatsoever. And so one thing that I'd really like to see Reed Sheppard do in however many more games he has this Summer League is really take advantage of that indecision from the defense. And we've seen him do it, but a big part of it is just they're also sagging so far off of him, right? Because they don't know, is he going to drive it in and then dish it? And I think as he gets that space, rather than being patient and trying to set up one of his teammates or whatever, I get it. You're trying to involve the team. You're trying to run point. You're trying to, make sure everybody's getting involved. I just selfishly want to see him let that thing fly, right? Just if the defense is going to disrespect you by giving you space, knowing that you're a good shooter, pull up and let it fly and give us a game where you hit 5, 6, 7, 8 threes, whatever it looks like. I want to see that happen. Desperately, I want to see that happen. But At the same time, again, it just doesn't feel like that's the kind of player that he is. Maybe he'll grow into it and get more accustomed to it. Again, there's definitely some flashes of some Steph Curry there. There's some CP3 there. There's some Steve Nash to his game a little bit. It's really exciting when you start thinking about the ceiling and all the top-end possibilities of who Reed Sheppard could be as a player. And it's also really exciting when you think about just like this is who he is right now. If this is his floor, he's already still a phenomenal player. That's why it's incredibly exciting. But Cam Whitmore on the other end of the Rocket spectrum, just doing Cam Whitmore things. And I'll say he had a much, much better Summer League Game 2 than he did in Game 1. He looked much more in control rather than, Game 1, it just kind of looked like he was out there just kind of doing whatever, right? Get the ball. All right, I'm going to do my thing. And if it works, doesn't, whatever. This game, he felt like he was playing with much more purpose. He was driving and attacking and really trying to finish in and around the rim. He wasn't settling for nearly as many outside shots. It really felt like he was making a point to put his head down and get all the way to the rim. All the little backdoor cuts and everything that he and Reed were able to connect on, the lobs and transition, everything, right? It was fantastic to see. He had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and then he had the other half of the 5 steals, he and Reed combining for 10 total steals, 5 steals on his behalf in addition to the 1 block. 9 of 15 shooting, 0 of 3 from downtown, didn't hit any threes. The 3-ball hasn't really been there for Cam yet, but it hasn't really mattered because he's been so dominant getting downhill, getting to the rim, forcing defenders to foul him. He got to the free throw line 10 times in this game, hit 7 of them. You'd like to see that number be a little bit better for Cam, but he also spoke after the game about the coaching staff. When I got the chance to ask him about, him being entrusted to kind of bring the ball up the floor and run the offense and, orchestrate some things, he pointed out the fact that the coaching staff knows that he can score and that they don't care about his scoring. They want to see him, flesh out his game. They want to see him play make. They want to see him create for teammates. They want to see him focus in on the defense end of the floor. Scoring is the one thing that we know that Cam can do easily. And so seeing him really start to flesh out the other parts of his game defensively, it felt like he was much, much better here in Game 2, really taking it on himself to try and shut down whichever player he was assigned to for the Wizards, really trying to be active on the boards. And then again, playing passing lanes, right? That's one thing that Cam Whitmore, even in the regular season, was really good at doing, was just kind of shooting the gap and getting in there and just, whether you get a quick little fingertip on the ball or if you get like a flat out, perfectly timed steal and then just flying the opposite direction and being able to throw one down for an easy 2 points. I don't know if Cam's ever going to be like a true blue lockdown one-on-one all-NBA caliber defender. He probably doesn't have to be, but as long as you're a serviceable defender and as long as you can generate opportunities like that by forcing turnovers and, playing the passing lanes, being quick, all that stuff, it's going to pay dividends for him down the line. And again, looking at the way that he has benefited from having a true point guard, a true floor general out there, it really is immense. And you kind of see it on display with some of these other Summer League teams. Like, for example, the Atlanta Hawks. I think Zachary Risachet is suffering a little bit because the Hawks don't have Kobe Buffkin, who was injured just before Summer League began. And so the Hawks don't have the guy that was supposed to be their primary initiator, their primary creator for their squad. And you kind of wind up seeing that. I mean, same thing happened last year to the Rockets Summer League squad when they lost him in Thompson, right? Like the moment you lose the guy who's supposed to be your primary conductor and initiator, especially in the Summer League context where it is just kind of like a glorified rec league at times, if you don't have a guard or a playmaker out there who you can run the offense through, who can make those good decisions and get other guys involved, then it just kind of comes down to a lot of guys playing, your turn, my turn, isolation ball, and that can get a little frustrating to watch, and it can be frustrating for the players to have to play through that. So it was great to see Cam Whitmore kind of take a little bit more pride here in Game 2 and play the right way rather than kind of, I don't want to say mailing it in Game 1, because, again, he did have a much better second half in Game 1, but just really focusing on what he can control and playing much more the way that we expect him to play, at the level that we're comfortable with him playing, rather than him just kind of going out there and doing whatever, honestly. When you start thinking about the future of the Rockets, again, I mentioned this already in segment 1, but just I I almost want to start like we should start like a betting line here at Locked on Rockets and do the over-under on number of lob passes that Reed Sheppard and Cam Whitmore connect on throughout the regular season. Because I do think it's going to, like, those two have already developed such a quick chemistry, and it's only going to get better with more and more time. And again, I cannot wait to see how Amin Thompson has been factored into that trio, that trifecta coming off the Rockets bench this next season. But coming up, I want to share final thoughts from this game, some thoughts on Alex Sarr and what we saw out of the Wizards, as well as Orlando Robinson and his monstrous 22 and 15 in this one. Does he deserve a spot on the Houston Rockets roster? Should he have that other two-way spot over N'Faly Dante? We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride. Guaranteed! Every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And final segment here at Locked on Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. I want to piggyback off of a point that I was making there at the end of that last segment about the Atlanta Hawks, and you know, they lost their primary creator in Kobe Buffkin, and I think that's kind of taken its toll on Zachary Reed-Sheppard in his Summer League debut, because a big part of the context from Summer League is this is not an environment where every player archetype can thrive. The guys like Reed Sheppard and Cam Whitmore, who you can put the ball in their hands and just let them go to work, those guys are going to thrive. Guys like Zachary Reed-Sheppard and Alex Sarr, who are more kind of ancillary pieces, those guys tend to struggle a little bit more, or they just don't shine as brightly, especially in a team context. If you don't have the right playmakers, the right guards, the right guys to set those guys up, then things are going to look a little bit worse for wear, unfortunately. Now with the Wizards and with Alex Sarr, I mean, I will say I'm not like out or down on Alex Sarr by any stretch of the imagination. He's a lanky, 4'5" tweener, and those types of guys usually take a little while to develop, to fill out, to become the best version of them. Hell, we're kind of still seeing that go, process play out for Jabari Smith Jr., right? I mean, there's moments in his rookie year where he got absolutely ragdolled, bodied, whatever, because he just didn't have the muscle, the size to deal with NBA bigs. And in this game, Alex Sarr, right, really pretty much every big for the Wizards was getting absolutely bullied by Orlando Robinson in this game. Dude was out there just inhaling rebounds left and right. 15 rebounds total, 9 of them on the offensive glass. Just a complete putback machine, generating all those second chance, third chance opportunities for the Rockets in this game. And again, Tari, Eason, and Jabari especially were loving it over on the baseline. They kept every time Orlando would get the rebound under the basket in the second half, they kept saying, "Oh, do it to him, cook him." And it was fantastic to watch, and just to hear their commentary in addition to watching the game in front of me. It was an awesome little experience. But I do think looking at Orlando Robinson, I mean, I'd argue that he deserves probably more than a two-way deal at this point. The problem is the Rockets already have so many roster spots dedicated to bigs this year. They've got Sengun. They've got Steven Adams. Those two are not going anywhere. More on that a little bit later as we have some information from general manager Rafael Stone, who highlighted the fact that Alpe's not being traded. Want to kind of unpack that in a future episode for sure. Just kind of focusing on the game stuff here in this one. But you've got Sengun, you've got Steven Adams, you've still got Jock Landale, you've got Jeff Green, who's going to play some spot minutes at the 5 more than likely, Jabari Smith Jr., some small ball 5 minutes. You just got too many guys who are going to eat up those minutes at the 5, and I get that they already signed N'Faly Dante to a two-way contract. They must have been really impressed with him, with his potential, all that. But at this point, I mean, Robinson has completely outplayed N'Faly Dante, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Rockets like rescind or, waive the two-way deal that Dante is on and extend a two-way slot to Orlando Robinson. The issue is I think he's capable of actually playing on an NBA standard contract, so he might not even accept a two-way deal. Although if he doesn't get a contract offer from anybody else, then you got to take what you can get and then hopefully carve yourself out a permanent spot moving forward. He did, Orlando Robinson, when we spoke to him post-game, he highlighted the fact that, he's really hoping to kind of showcase his ability here in Summer League, as is everybody who's playing in Summer League, especially guys who don't have standard deals, who don't have guaranteed spots in a rotation somewhere. You're trying to earn a roster spot by showcasing your skill sets to other teams. But he talked about the fact that he's worked on his outside shot, that he's really trying to up his physicality in the paint, all those little things. And I would love for the Rockets to just give him a two, even if they don't want to give up on N'Faly Dante, who I would be interested to see him stick around and to see if there is something there, because there have been some moments out of Dante where defensively you can see the impact that he has, the length, the wingspan. He's a pretty good rim deterrent when he's in the right position to be. But at the same time, it's part of it's probably just an experience thing, right? Robinson spent time at the NBA level. Dante hasn't, fresh out of college, all that stuff. One of them is just the flat-out better player right now, and we haven't seen the Rockets, shake up the Summer League roster at all yet. I doubt that it happens. I don't think they're going to pull Dante out of the starting lineup and then insert Robinson. But at the same time, Robinson has absolutely been eating into Dante's minutes through these first two games, and I feel that's going to continue to be the case moving forward because he's just the better player right now, and that's not, that's just facts, unfortunately, at this point for Dante. But one more note that I wanted to share here. I'm really enjoying Coach Garrett Jackson and his Summer League coaching approach, how he's putting guys in the right positions to be successful, and some of the decision-making that he does throughout the course of a game. How, for example, in this one, it was the final 4 or 5 minutes of the first half where Reed Sheppard was back out there on the floor, but he wasn't bringing the ball up at all. He wasn't the primary initiator at all. In fact, the Rockets did some combination of they had, Cam bring the ball up a few times. They had Nate Williams bring the ball up a lot in those final few minutes of the first half. And a big part of the reason for that, as Coach Jackson, illustrated when I asked him about it post-game, he basically said that what he noticed is the way that the Wizards were switching everything, he wanted to get some small switches happening to where Reed could slip out of the switch and then pop out for an open shot. And seeing those kind of on-the-fly decisions being made where, hey, okay, this is how the team is defending our, one of our best guys. How do we, kind of circumvent that? What can we do to throw a wrench in their defensive scheme? Because the easiest way to beat a switching defense is to slip. That's the easiest way you do it, because if you are not expecting, if you're going through a switching defense and you're just thinking, okay, well, here comes this defender, I'm going to switch to him, whatever. If the offensive player slips, whether it's a slip and then you go and then you dive towards the rim, or you slip out to the three-point line or to the mid-range, whatever, it doesn't matter. It makes it really hard for the defense to anticipate that switch. And there were some opportunities in that 4 or 5 minute stretch that generated some good looks, some good opportunities for Reed out of that kind of offensive structure. And so I like that, and again, Garrett Jackson is an extension of Ime Udoka and his mind, right? And just like last year with Ben Sullivan as the head coach of Summer League, Ben Sullivan is an extension of Ime Udoka's basketball mind. Ime isn't just showing up to Summer League, drinking Michelob Ultras and just hanging out courtside laughing it up. He's definitely a part of these practices, a part of these discussions and implementing certain things and talking to and game planning with Coach Garrett Jackson on what they want to see, how they want to implement certain things, what they kind of want to test out with some of these players on the roster. And so I just wanted to highlight that. I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I think he's been really candid and transparent and frankly, a great interview after these first couple games through Summer League, just really highlighting some of what they're trying to do, some of the reasoning behind some of his decision-making and certain substitutions or why certain guys are being played a certain way. And it's always just really refreshing to me when in a media capacity you can get you can ask legitimate basketball questions and get legitimate basketball answers, because nothing feels worse than asking what you think is a solid question about, something that you saw on the basketball floor that you weren't 100% sure what the reasoning was behind it, and then a coach or a player can then, highlight and explain, oh, well, we were doing this because of XYZ. And then you get a kind of a peek behind the curtain as to what the actual X and O's game planning is for the team that you're watching. And I always think that kind of stuff is really fascinating. So on that note, if you haven't checked them out, again, all the post-game interviews are available. So there's Coach Jackson, obviously, and then Reed Sheppard, Cam Whitmore, and Orlando Robinson. So those are available over on the YouTube channel. Kind of buried the lead on that one, but again, they're there after every game that I'm here in Las Vegas. So there should be one more set of interviews after the Rockets-Pistons game. Very much looking forward to that competition. I do have to apologize on the tardiness of this episode. I had the scare of a lifetime as I lean out of camera here in my hotel room, because my USB cable that I use for my recording device broke. It fractured in my backpack, and I had to then walk down the street and hunt down a new USB cable and then come back to the hotel room and then set it up, and then internet. I have never had this many logistical nightmares trying to record a podcast. At the stadium, the internet was being super wonky. I even had a hardwire connection with an Ethernet cable, and it was still dropping out randomly at various points throughout the evening. It's been kind of a nightmare, but we made it happen. We got the show out. We're going to have one more show here from Las Vegas after Rockets Pistons, so be sure to tune in for that one. And then things will be back to normal. I'll be back home, back in Houston, back in the studio. God forbid, I hope I haven't somehow lost power. Hopefully Centerpoint hasn't turned off my power since being here in Vegas. And again, shout out to everybody who's still going through it from Hurricane Beryl. I do, thoughts and prayers out to you and your families if you still haven't gotten power back, if you have really struggled from the storm, if you had to throw out food. It's been such an abysmal, week, few days, whatever, for Houstonians. So my heart goes out to everybody out there who's still struggling. But with that, as always, thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcast, or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star review goes a very, very long way. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.